All right. I'm Craig, and here with me I have Joyce, who played Brittany Chatting, and Doug, who played Marshall Vincenzo. You're both dead now.
I don't feel dead.
How do you feel about that?
Both disappointed but relieved. I have to, all things considered.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Joyce. Can you give us a little background on the character of Brittany?
She was pretty much an heiress. She grew up, her father owned steel mills, taught her the trade, made her not afraid to learn how to run them. Right before they died, she got into a cult of, was it Shub?
Mm-hmm.
Caring for her offspring. And she had a pendant that, as long as she wore it, she was protected, which is why that one didn't hurt her. But then stuff happened that 3 of the offspring died, and Shub cursed everyone that you can't have children. And so Brittany and her husband ended up getting pregnant, but it was an abomination that just forced itself out after like 3 or 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Lost a lot of sanity there, divorced, ended up selling the steel mills, blowing through the money to find answers to remove the curse.
Okay. And can you give us a little background on Marshall? I mean, I think we've went through most of that in game, but
Yeah, but just a little bit. Marshall was a good guy. He was just he was a biologist, had a passion for studying the natural world. He had a wife, he had a kid, and things were going pretty good. And then he found the pyramid and got his brain swapped with an alien, and then things kind of went downhill from that point. So, yeah, he then became this kind of obsessed madman trying to find out what happened to him and then find the answers to, well, this leads to this, what's going to happen now? And pretty much is what led us to this point.
Mm-hmm. So, do you feel like your characters achieved their goals that they set out to achieve at the beginning of this game?
Yeah, I do. I got my curse lifted.
Mm-hmm.
By Shub herself.
Yeah, I'd say Marshall did eventually find out everything he wanted to know and far, far more than he ever intended. But, yeah, I'd say so. I'd say in the very end, he at least found out what happened, and he didn't really have enough time to process what this all meant, if anything. That his whole life was ruined because of a goof.
And a goof it was. What the reason a Yith had been summoned there is that the cultists of Yig were performing a ritual, but did it wrong, which is why they were cursed with the animal heads. And instead of summoning Yig, they summoned a Yith.
Huh.
Well, they are close to spelling. So.
It is. In fact, there was actually a miscommunication about that with Victor, but it is what it is. Sometimes bad things happen to unfortunate people. Do you, either of you, have any questions for me in regards to your characters or the game?
I don't know.
Just that, I guess what could we have done in the face of the flying polyp attack? Because I panicked. I'll be honest with you.
Well, initially, as I stated, the sound was far off. You could have moved into the other room where you would have found the well and had the opportunity to move the stone lid on to buy yourself some more time. These things were clearly capable of moving it, but that would have slowed it down enough for you to attempt to make an escape otherwise. But you just panicked and lollygagged in that room long enough that this thing made its way out of the well. And
I just I just assumed it was already in the hallway, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
we're screwed. So
that is the
maybe.
downside to not fully exploring where you are. Should have just split the party.
But you're never supposed to split the party. That's the worst idea.
You're never supposed to listen to the rules either.
Oh, what would have happened with, like, Brittany and her moving forward now that her curse is gone?
What would have happened had she made it out of there alive?
Yes.
That would depend on how well she served Shub.
Okay.
You are hers now. Well, now you're dead, so I guess it really doesn't matter. And she really doesn't care because there are other people to take care of her young. One final question. Did you enjoy the game?
Very
Yes.
much so. I had a lot of fun with this, and thanks for having me be a part of it.
Always a pleasure.